say goodbye. I was heading down a highway with the first light of dawn. At least the sun was on my side. I took it to the limit, to where I've never been before. I've been walking on the wild side.
Attrezzare sto amore.
Well, I'm not playing anymore.
Vabbè, non importa che faccia le cose.
Then I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide, where the angels meet. I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide, where the angels meet.
It's good to see you again, man. I was looking at your interview that we did just 2 days ago. It's a really nice interview. We must do a proper one.
This? Yes, you must have.
1-to-1 would be fantastic.
Già pronta, amore? Ok.
I was in the dream chamber. I could feel the desert.
Yeah.
A whispering answer.
That's right. Yeah. Is that on all the time?
Yeah.
It is.
For a second time,
First time it's
and it blew my mind.
Forse mettiamo 2-2.
Then I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide, where the angels meet. I found myself on Jesus.
It's strange to see a man like Trevor Horn with pure rock.
But I was the singer in Yes for a year in 1980, so I have been in.
Yeah, but you
rock.
changed the S sound.
Yeah, well, it needed changing.
Yeah. So I only heard the single, and I like it a lot. It's really pure rock.
Jesus Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wrote it? He wrote. You wrote.
Then I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide, where the angels meet. I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide, where the angels meet.
So why Jesus Street?
Why Jesus Street? Well, it's a story about an episode in my life,
Yeah.
which is and Jesus Street actually exists. It's a street in Tarifa in southern Spain, and that's all I'm going to say.
I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide, where the angels meet.
Why do you have an Italian with you?
Well, him.
We were wondering that ourselves. We've been thinking about that. Yes.
This whole thing was his idea. We started. Well, Marco put us all together, brought us all together again after 20 years of not seeing each other, not working together with Dire Straits. And once we started reassembling ourselves, it was an obvious thing to be doing.
Yeah. Ma tu prima di essere parte di questo progetto che si chiama Legacy, cosa facevi?
Beh, io suonavo nell'underground romano, diciamo così, per cui sai, lì c'è un bel giro, diciamo. Tu considera che io abbiamo portato, me lo ricordo benissimo, nel 1985 il rock nelle scuole. Io ero al penultimo anno del liceo ai Parioli e facemmo un concerto dove in quella super band che suonava tipo Live Aid, no? Perché era quello del periodo, c'eravamo io, Nicolò Fabi, Max Gazzè, Alex Britti, cioè, per cui veniamo tutti da lì, siamo tutti di quell'anno lì e quindi quello è l'underground, diciamo così, da dove provengo io. Poi ho fatto anche delle collaborazioni con Steve Phillips e Brendan Crocker dei Notting Hill Billies, no? Quindi per cui...
Ma loro come li hai conosciuti, come li hai messi insieme?
Loro grazie, cioè, diciamo c'è un amico comune in America che si chiama Rudy Penza, che è colui che costruisce chitarre artigianali, è stato un po' un gancio tipo Carrambata, no? Se la vogliamo dire all'italiano, che alla fine io ho conosciuto lui prima, all'inizio degli anni 90, siamo diventati molto amici e lui piano piano mi ha fatto conoscere prima Mark Knopfler benissimo e poi da lì è venuto naturale, diciamo, conoscere tutti loro, insomma, quindi piano piano. E da lì Dire Straits Legacy e poi Legacy.
Alan, excuse me, why did you change name? Dire Straits Legacy was more popular in a way because people who liked a name as famous as Dire Straits are more than the people that know Legacy.
Well, because we've kind of left Dire Straits behind when we're doing this project. We're being ourselves. We're not trying to be Dire Straits in any way whatsoever. So it just made sense to leave the name Dire Straits behind and stick to the band name Legacy.
Yeah, but live, do you still do Dire Straits songs?
When we go out as Dire Straits Legacy, we're playing Dire Straits songs, and we're starting to incorporate the Legacy songs in the set.
Ferrone on drums. Wow. Yeah, you are all musicians with a lot of history. It's incredible.
That's the idea of legacy. That's what this project is all about. And we all bring our own legacies along with us, including
red musos.
You are a museum. You won a Grammy Award. You did everything. You were the first one who invented video clip. The first video clip broadcasted by MTV was Video Killed the Radio Star.
I don't think we invented it, but it was the first video clip they
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what the second one was? Going Mobile, the Who.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's interesting little fact there. But anyway, it's a good bit too. I always liked that bit.
Yeah, but you became so famous at that time, I remember, because your image, and it was the first time in which you can't disconnect music from video.
Yeah.
When I hear Video Killed the Radio Star, that I liked a lot, I always see the TV that groans from the earth, your face, the strange color around you.
Yeah. Well, that was old video processing. You know, you can't make videos like that anymore because the equipment doesn't exist. Yeah. It's like old equipment, you know.
and after you produced a lot of people, but you produced Robbie Williams in a record called
Reality Killed the Video Star. Yeah. That was his idea, not mine. When he told me he wanted to call that, I said, call it that. And he asked, did I mind? I said, I don't mind, just as long as you don't tell people it was your idea and not mine, right?
All we've ever wanted is to look good naked, hope that someone can take it.
Reality Killed the Video Star from Robbie Williams.
There is a truth, because reality killed the music in a way.
Well, I don't think it was reality that killed, that sort of devalued MTV. I think it was cliches, just the same as anything other art form. Yeah. You know, when you first see videos for records, it's fabulous. It seems like the most wonderful thing. And some guy's playing a guitar solo on a cliff, and the sea is breaking. You know, wonderful. His hair's blowing, and he's fabulous looking, and he's wearing a coat. But it's great the first time you see it, but after a while, it becomes very boring. For me, I don't watch music videos anymore. I have no interest in them.
I dream of my hair blowing in the wind.
Pardon? Trevor, I'm not telling about music video, I'm telling about reality. The reality show.
Reality TV shows,
Yeah. That killed the music in a way. Because I think that today, group like Dire Straits couldn't exist. In the new Dire Straits of today, for example, or the new Eric Clapton, they were so shy. People that with whom you worked couldn't exist today. Paul McCartney, you worked with Paul McCartney, told that Beatles couldn't exist today.
Well, yeah, they would exist in a different form, perhaps. They would just evolve. They would evolve differently, but maybe they would exist, but in a different way.
The people's consumption of music has changed radically since we were young. That's the real problem. That. People tend to listen to music more in their cars now, I think, than anywhere else. People don't sit at home so much and put records on. There's so many other things that you can do, you know?
I think that's one of the things we want to try to encourage with this album, is that, you know, this is an album you need to sit down and listen to. It's not the sort of thing you do while you're doing something else. There's a depth to it that you can't understand just by listening on your iPod or your telephone. There's more to it than that. People need to get inside it.
A whisper in the answer for a second time, and it blew my mind. Then I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide where the angels meet. I found myself on Jesus Street, on the great divide where the angels meet.
You are faces that are the history of music. Why didn't you put your face on the cover of the album?
Because we're ugly.
Because we're ugly. Like, oh man.
Exactly.
Talk about yourself, man.
Well, just speak for yourself, please. No, but
He's not ugly, for example.
I'm getting there, but not quite.
I know, you have an Italian.
Wow!
Handsome, good-looking, swarthy Italian man.
Ma chi ha deciso la copertina?
No, bella la copertina.
Ma bella, ma non c'è la faccia, non c'è le facce.
Names.
You find a formula you can't go wrong.
Sì.
If you play the blues, you knew it was
Ferrone, Marco Caviglia.
play the 3-chord trick and you got yourself a song.
Guarda. Certo che adesso è un bel sogno suonare con della gente così, eh?
Eh sì.
Questi qui hanno fatto la storia della
La
musica.
storia della musica è una grande.
Sei per stare insieme a loro.
È una grande responsabilità. To be with you is a wonderful, è un'esperienza eccezionale, dai, un'esperienza fantastica. Stare in studio con loro per un anno è stata dura, ma un'esperienza così credo è una cosa veramente eccezionale. E sul palco, dai, me la cavo, come direbbe.
You're not.
today free the studio for Band-Aid, okay?
Yeah.
Don't you think that all this music involved in social aspects borrowed the system, the politician? In a way, today music has not the same importance. In a way, today there are no more Sun City, no more Live Aids, no more Jimi Hendrix playing the... so the music lost its power.
Well, there's still arguments over certain things. You know, Roger Waters is very vociferous about people not going to Israel. And there's just a big argument between him and Nick Cave this week because Nick Cave thought he should go to Israel and play. So, you know, music still, and we still get asked to, you know, for an inordinate amount of charity records. You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but I must have worked on 2 or 3 of them. And everyone shows up, you know, so we try, you know, we try and help.
Yes, yes, you are speaking about you are speaking about Roger Waters, that is of another era of musicians. You are of the era in which music made the difference.
Yeah.
Today, no.
Live it does. I think people still appreciate music live.
Yeah, live.
Yeah.
But there are no messages, there is no nothing. You made an album called The Age of Plastic, and today we have a world of plastic.
Yeah, it's true.
And it was, you said this
I could see it coming.
You wrote this in 1979.
Yeah.
A period in which music, starting from the 60s up to, I think that the end was in 1985, because after that I don't see.
I think it started to go down a little bit in the 90s when, I don't know about over here, but in England it became very much, you know, take that drug that makes you love everybody. What's it called?
Ecstasy.
Ecstasy. Take ecstasy and listen to sort of bleep, 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 you know. To a musician, this music was incredibly tedious. But if you take this drug, evidently it was amazing. It was like looking at a picture in 3D.
Wow. Never experienced it.
And they
Never experienced it.
No, I know it's hard to do that.
No, neither did I.
Loads of times people had it in their hand and said, come on. And I was like, you know what?
Me too,
I don't think so. So I think that's when it started to sort of slip a little bit. And these days with EDM, it's difficult to... There aren't many people coming up that are good live acts, you know, because the music doesn't lend itself to it particularly well. You know, I mean, over in Great Britain, people tend to be 1 or 2 songs. They sing with a backing track, and that's a live performance, you know.
Yeah. That's the great thing about this project, really, because we have that catalogue of Dire Straits stuff to lean on, but the idea of the legacy is to take that a stage
it doesn't
further.
Seem the single Jesus 3 doesn't seem a Dire Straits song.
No, but it's
completely
not.
different.
No, that we deliberately didn't want to sound like Dire Straits. It's the evolution of where we were in that band, where it would be now, I think.
Any resemblance to Dire Straits is purely coincidental.
I found myself on Jesus Street, on a great divide, where the angels meet. I found myself on Jesus Street, on a great divide, where the angels meet.
The songs in this record you are more proud of?
It's interesting. We were just saying that when we started this album a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. It was.
But how did you work? In the same studio or sending tapes?
No. The whole idea was organic and 4 guys in a room together.
Sì.
That's what we tried to
Ah, cioè chi erano i 4? Tu?
Erano a Los Angeles, c'erano Phil, Alan, Steve e Pino Palladino. A Roma eravamo io, Phil, Alan, Mel Collins, Danny Cummings, Primiano, Di Biase.
Aha! Forward Studios, Grotta Palata. Here we are recording tracks for the Legacy album with Alan Clark and Marco Caviglia. I'm Phil Palmer. And this is the studio, beautiful Forward Studios.
Okay, our new single, Jesus Street, is going to be broadcast on Italian radio. Make sure you hear it. Bye-bye.
Ciao!
And he? What did he do?
Well, Trevor came along towards the end. Basically, I was in London working with Trevor on something else, and I played him a few of the songs, and he said, "Ooh, I'd quite like to be involved in your band," and that's the history.
Join your band, he said.
Yeah, can I join
So we thought about it for about 2.5
But
seconds.
as a producer, as a musician, or in tour too?
As a musician.
As a musician, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been a producer for 30 years. I don't need to do that. I do it all. I still work as a producer. You know,
Yeah,
that's
but
what I do.
will you go on stage with
Yeah,
them,
of course
or-
I will. I like playing. Yeah.
Yeah. And when?
Well, our first dates are in South America in January, and Trevor's going to be on those.
And Italy? When?
We're looking at
October,
Italy,
I think.
maybe later on
October.
in next year. Yeah.
So you're on the road again because you don't like. You prefer the studio. You did your own label, the ATT. You prefer to be studio.
Well, I've had 30 years in a recording studio. You know, I hardly ever went out. I just worked all the time. Now I'm getting a bit older and I've had enough, you know. Unless I find a song really worth doing, I don't want to do it anymore. So I like to play, you know. I got my own band and we play. We did quite a few shows this summer, and these guys are really good. I love this. I love, Dire Straits material. It's like some of the best stuff ever written for a rock band. It doesn't really get any better. I mean, I suppose I wouldn't be. I couldn't be more. I wouldn't be more in. If they asked me to join the Rolling Stones, I'd prefer to do this. The Rolling Stones might pay more, but I'd prefer to do this because the music's more interesting. You know, the Dire Straits music's beautiful.
So it's better Alan Clark than
Rick Wakeman.
Rick Wakeman.
I love Rick Wakeman. It's two different things. I think it depends what people play. Rick's a really good player. Have you ever met him?
I don't think I've ever met Rick. No.
He's one of those guys where his hands are like they come from a different planet.
Yeah.
Really?
He's a really capable player.
He's a really capable player, yeah.
Rick Wakeman.
But how was possible for you to work with people in such a different fields of music? Because you work for electronic music, propaganda and things like that. But after you work with rock, the progressive rock of yes, and after you work with Paul McCartney or
It's all the same 12 notes. You know, it's just presented differently. It's a
they could shake.
Yes,
you
but
go.
we have to say also that Trevor also recorded the bass on some tracks in the new album. Yeah.
You're recording this album.
Yeah, I played on a track or
Bass.
two. Yeah, I can't remember which ones, so don't ask.
You don't remember. Legacy. What does it mean, legacy?
Legacy means the fruit, the what is left of a. It's like the residue of a project almost. It's what is left after it has disappeared.
So
It's what continues.
It's the thing you leave to the other.
Yeah, it's what continues after the thing has disappeared. It's like what is left in the people's minds, I think. Then the music is what is, as far as Dire Straits goes, the legacy of Dire Straits is the music, I think. The music will live forever.
Yeah.
A good song lives forever.
Alan, what does Mark Knopfler think about your project, this project?
I don't know, I haven't asked him. But I think he'll look very favourably on it, actually, when he hears this record.
But are you still in a relationship or not? No.
I haven't seen him for several years.
Strange things.
Well, maybe it's not as strange as all that at all. Maybe it's just because sometimes it must have been a lot of. I'm sure it must have been a lot of pressure on him at one point, and he probably didn't want it anymore. You know.
Of course, he's moved on. He does his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do our own things, you know.
Success is a good thing. You had huge success in few months. Is a good thing.
In a few months.
Oh yes, with Video Kill You.
Yeah, but you know, you get a bit of success in a few months. But I'd been working. I was a musician since I was 11, you know, and I'd been making records for 5 years. And so everything I learned about making records went into Video Killed the Radio Star, the record. So even though it happened quickly, it took me a long time to figure it out, you know. I was 30 when that happened. I might have looked young, but I was actually 30.
I heard you on the wireless back in 52, lying awake intently tuning in on you. If I was young, it didn't stop you coming through.
And you never were a front man,
True.
but you always were in important projects.
Yeah, I guess that was by choice. I was never confident enough up to now. Actually, I'm different now, but I didn't want to be out front. I didn't want to be singing.
Yes.
And quite happy to stand behind Mark Knopfler or Eric Clapton and do what I do. And I got good at it, I think. But now it's different. Yeah, I'm more confident about being out front and committing myself to a project like this.
You work with a lot of Italian artists. You too. You work with Renato Zero and Eros Ramazzotti.
Now he's a lovely man, Renato. Yeah.
He's a crazy man.
Crazy. He wants to marry me.
The bitch.
But my girlfriend says no.
And Eros Ramazzotti?
Eros Ramazzotti, yes. That was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I don't normally work with people who don't sing in English because, you know, from my point of view, pop music, unless it is the lyrics are very important, and if you don't understand them, you might not be able to, you know, make the record so well.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's the first thing I did when I was working with Eros or Renato, is to get a translation of the lyric before you start to work on the song, because otherwise you could be making a jaunty little tune about a train wreck, you know.
Yeah.
Renato was a friend of ours, actually. We were at his house the other day, just a couple of days ago, talking about possible future projects.
Renato with you, with Legacy.
Kind of.
We'll leave it to Renato to announce anything.
Ah, yeah, okay, astronaut.
Looking for America.
Today, music lives only on the live part of its aspect because records they don't sell anymore. So all the possibility the musician has to earn money and to share music that is not downloaded free is live.
Yeah.
That's probably the root of this whole project. I mean, what you see at a legacy, Dire Straits legacy concert is live. There's nothing pre-recorded. It's what comes off the stage is what is important for us, and it's organic and it's real and it changes every night. That's what we love about music. That's what we love about playing live.
Yeah, you are completely on the other side of what music means today, because I don't know if in England it's the same, but in a reality show in Italy, in talent show, X Factor, you don't see musicians, you only see people singing. It's the same in England.
Well, you see people singing surrounded by dancers with lasers going, you know.
But it seems that music instruments disappeared on stage, on the television.
Well,
there's a program called Strictly Come Dancing in England, which a friend of ours actually sings on that, and it's totally live, and it's pretty damned amazing. The band play live, the singers play live, and I always presumed that maybe they'd kind of done something to it. You know, it wasn't really live, but it really is live, and it sounds pretty damned amazing. So there's a good example of live music being played on television, which you don't often see.
It's just about the only example, though.
I think it is, but it's really, really good, I have to say.
Sì, ma deve essere divertente andare in giro con questa musica, molto divertente.
Molto divertente, anche perché, diciamo, poi come anche vedi dall'intervista, stiamo bene insieme. Questo è un aspetto importante, no? Il fatto di suonare la musica di Dire Straits, adesso pure, no? Pezzi del nuovo album, il nostro disco, sempre in un clima veramente di grande amicizia, è una cosa importante. Cioè, adesso, per dirti, io e Phil stiamo a Roma e oltre a suonare insieme andiamo a giocare a tennis molto spesso, cioè, per cui abbiamo anche, no, una vita extra musica insieme, no? E quindi questo è un legame che poi si riflette anche sul palco, no? Perché stai lì chiaramente per dare gioia a tantissimi fan che ti vengono a vedere, ma anche, no, godere noi stessi della musica che in quel momento stiamo suonando, per cui è sempre eccezionale, favoloso.
Yeah, well, we've known each other for years.
Yeah. Go back to that's the first project we did together was Share.
Share.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So when was that? That was...
So he was the producer and you the musician.
Exactly, yes.
So how is to work with him as a producer that he says no?
No comment.
No comment.
You know, he might have to work after this band, so he's got to be careful. The way I'm treated is going to have a very direct impact on who I book.
It's always a joy working with Trevor, of course, because he comes from the same place that I do. You know, he was a session bass player back in the 70s, or even before.
So I understand what it's like to be a musician. So you know. You see, I understand musicians probably a bit more than some producers do. Some producers have a terrible tendency. They'll hire a musician and say, I want you to play this. No, not like that. Like this, exactly like that. No. Put your hand here. Oh, right, you know. I hate that because it's like...
So the secret is to choose the right musician.
The secret is to pick the right musician, and they should figure the part out for themselves. Yeah, you don't have to show them.
It's more difficult to compose music, as you did all of things, to play or to produce?
Well, it's difficult to do any of them really well. I mean, you could do all of them. I mean, we could all write. If somebody put a gun to my head, I could probably write 5 songs in half an hour. You know what I mean? Whether they'd be any good, you know, it's. You're asking which is the most difficult.
Yes.
Depends who you're working with.
Yes. Depends on the circumstances.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Producing is great if you're with the right people. If you're with a really good, intelligent group of forward-looking musicians, and I've been very lucky to have got myself into that position a couple of times. But other times it can be long, hard slog against all kinds of problems, you know.
It's like writing songs.
Yeah.
Sometimes songs take a long time to come out, and it's like extracting a tooth sometimes. That you have to kind of like really work. Other times, they just come together. And Phil and I have found a little bit of magic in the way that we've been writing these songs, in so much that it's kind of easy, isn't it?
It's just fast, yeah. It's organic. It's interesting. You start with the seed of an idea. Which I think this is the thing that we've enjoyed most about this project. You start with nothing, and after a while, something starts to grow, and it blossoms into a sort of tree by the end of it. That's what these songs are, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like alchemy. You start with nothing or some base elements or something, and then you end up with a piece of gold. Well, that's perhaps a bit excessive, but
yes. Heading towards Sude's corner, but pretty good nevertheless.
Yeah, Alan, but Keith Richard told me that the songs are on the air and you have to take them. And he said in this room there are songs on the air.
Yeah. He wrote a song, one of the songs on the record, he dreamt the entire song.
You dreamt the entire song?
I dreamt the entire arrangement, everything, the lyrics, the melody.
And you wake up and you remember it. Everything.
No, I woke myself up out of the dream at 4 o'clock in the morning, groped around and found a guitar on my telephone and made a note of it on the telephone, on the recorder of the telephone. And next day it was there, and I remembered all the elements. And the song was written in a dream. It was quite strange.
I wrote Jesus Street. I wasn't asleep, but it was during the night, and over several nights I'd kind of wake up, think about it, and when you're in that kind of half asleep, half awake state, the alpha state, that's when the entire song came to me bit by bit. It happened over a few nights, but I wrote it at night, and quite a lot of the songs I write, most of the parts come during the night, and I get up. I was up during last night actually, putting an idea down on my iPhone, singing it into the iPhone, you know.
Did you ever met John Lennon? No.
No, I worked with Paul McCartney. I never met John Lennon. I'd like to have met him, but I didn't. He was an interesting character, but quite troubled.
I know.
I think fame had a terrible effect on the Beatles. I think before they were famous, they were lovely. No, seriously, yeah, that's what everybody tells me. You know, because I was 13 years old. You know, the Beatles came out. I was a big fan. And I've met all of the people that were on the original sessions when they first came in. Jeff, what's his name, Emmerich, Norman Smith, and they said the Beatles were just lovely. They were so funny, they were so charming. They'd never met anybody like them. And I think if you watch that film 8 days a week about them live, you see them change, and you can see it in their faces. And it's sad. Fame, that kind of fame, really hurts people.
Very difficult to handle, I think.
Yes. I think the fact that McCartney's still a nice fella shows what an amazingly nice guy he must have been when he started out. You know?
Yeah, Paul is still...
He's a cool guy. It's nice to be
but George Harrison too, I met him.
Yeah, George Harrison was nice.
Yeah, was a nice person, nice.
He probably didn't change at all. He changed the least, perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps?
In fact, he told me that he didn't like to go on stage. And I said, what? Maybe you choose the wrong job. And he said, no, maybe I had too much.
I think too much becomes, you get too much is expected of you, you know what I mean?
I have a nice George Harrison story. He came and guested, maybe you were in the band, but he came and guested with Eric Clapton somewhere in the world. I think it was probably in Los Angeles. And he reluctantly came on the stage at the end and played a couple of songs with us, and I'm shouting the chords at him. He's standing next to me, and I'm thinking, I'm talking to George Harrison. This is surreal. A minor, G, F, and it was a strange experience, but a wonderful one at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that with musicians, they are shy person, normal person. Shy. But with the people, there are not too many people around them. I think that success change everyone. Everyone. I've seen Seal change. I met Seal at the beginning when I did the first record. I did a wonderful interview. After he came in my show, and after when I met him again, it was different.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes people get burned. You know, they get burnt. They start out quite idealistic, and they at first they're friendly, but then they get hurt a couple of times, and it changes them.
It's almost like being naive, isn't it?
You're
kind of fresh and young and naive, and then you get burnt by hardened people who want to burn you, basically. So you have to harden yourself to deal with that. You know, like you, for instance.
For instance, you know, I'm
only joking.
One of the first interviews I ever did, right?
Yeah.
I thought it went really well until I read it, and the guy said, Horn gets very excited and food spills out of his mouth. Man, I wanted to fucking go back there and deck him, you know.
Yeah, but
and you start to realise this is professional.
Yeah.
Now I don't care so much.
He was a British journalist.
British journalist. Fabulous. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, he was a British journalist. That's why. What's happening?
I'm just waving at Finn.
No, don't worry.
They said that finished. We have to finish.
No.
No.
You can take as long as you like, Ronnie.
No.
Come on, it's great fun working with
technique.
My camera.
My brother is a cameraman. Oh, he was a cameraman. Yeah. And he thinks I'm the worst cameraman ever.
Really?
But I think I've met the next worst one.
Okay, take the camera.
Right.
This is Trevor.
So
ask us questions.
So guys, how long have you been a journalist? What made you want to be a journalist?
I started in 1976, 5 with the free radio.
What was your legacy?
My legacy is my archive, because I kept the property of every interview I did.
Really?
So this is my legacy.
That's useful.
Clever.
Yeah.
That's clever. You're going to give it to sell it to a museum at the end.
It seems apparent that museums are not interested in culture.
Twisting the knife. She knew how to hurt me. Twisting the knife. She knew how to hurt me. To add insult to injury, pouring salt in the wound. She listened with apathy to all my favorite tunes. And we were running the red lights down the Telegraph Road, and it was countdown to ecstasy in a motel, you know.
When I met Sinead O'Connor, she was
Sinead O'Connor,
yeah, top on the chart with Nothing Compared to You. And it was the first interview. After 10 minutes, I said, okay, thanks, because she didn't answer to anything. She was completely out of mind.
Yeah. I met her at that period. She was in my studio. Yeah, I know what you mean. But she's a lovely person now. She has problems, but...
I don't ask you which were the worst artists with whom you worked, but I ask you which were the better surprises you had.
Seal was always great fun to work with. Huh? Seal. Yeah, because he's got a really good sense of humour. Same as mine, based in sort of English radio comedy from the 50s. Seal was great. Yeah, Pet Shop Boys lovely to work for. Yes, of course, were a nightmare, but I loved them. you know, because those old rock bands, man, they could be the most troublesome. But I was such a fan, you know, so I used to put up with it. But so, you know, so I've worked with a lot of good people. Most of the time in the studio, it's, you know, artists are normal. We're all trying to do the same thing, you know, make a good record.
And which were the artists that trusted you more? That they said, okay, I'm here, you do the song.
Well, it's like Robbie Williams was. I said to Robbie Williams, what sort of hours do you like to work in the studio? And he said, Friday.
Every other Friday.
And I said, great, so see you Friday. And so I worked for 4 days and he comes in on Friday. Perfect. And if he didn't like anything, I changed it, you know. But most of the time I just get on doing the record. That's one of the that's why singers are often easier to work with as a producer than bands. Because with a band you're stuck with a bunch of players. And if they can't play very well, then you can't really change anything very much, you know. But with a singer, you get to do all of it. And that's a good way to work.
I worked with Bob Dylan, and I'd heard...
You worked with Bob Dylan?
Yeah, I did an album. I did 2 albums with Bob Dylan.
You're kidding? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Well, I like to brag about it, you know, now and again when I get the opportunity. And, you know, you hear all sorts of stories about Bob Dylan, you know, so I didn't know what to expect. I tell you what, he was just the most joyous person to work with.
Really?
Yeah, he was absolutely fabulous. He had a beautiful smile. We got on great. No hassle whatsoever. He just came in, we played. It was almost live in the studio. And it was a joy. Fabulous. And he invited me back on the next album, so it must have been all right.
That's good.
Do you agree with the fact that he received the Nobel Prize for poem?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think his part of culture, the part of the culture of the 20th century, 21st century.
God, I think if anybody showed the 3-chord trick is like unending.
Yes.
He certainly did.
Expounding the 3-chord trick, yes.
Yeah. But it's strange because there was no one Bob Dylan song that makes success sang by Bob Dylan. They made success by the Byrds, by other people, Manfred Mann, Jimi Hendrix. Why
the Rolling Stone.
Yeah, like a Rolling Stone, by the Rolling Stone.
That whole era, like a Rolling Stone, was where he was releasing his own singles. I mean, I bought Like a Rolling Stone the day it came out in England, and I thought it was an unbelievable record. Even to this day, it's one of the few records where I can't really work out what people are doing. Whatever he's doing something with the guitar, and I can't really. It's like he's C-tuned or some shit he's got going on the guitar. It's not normal, you know. No, not at all.
But it's irrelevant, really. Yeah. It's just a bed to say great things on, really.
Yeah. And you, which are the best musicians you work with?
Probably most joyous was Eric Clapton. I think he was such a nice man, and it was such a great band, and it was probably the best band in the world at the time, with Ferroni and Nathan East and Alan Clark and Greg Phillinganes, etc.
It's a shame that it's said that he can't play anymore.
Yeah, there's some weirdness going on. Is it tendons? I think some kind of tendon problem he has in his arm. I don't know. But it's sad, yeah. I saw him at the Albert Hall last year, and it was 10% of Eric. It was very sad.
I saw the gig, yeah.
I saw him get up with the Rolling Stones 2 or 3 years ago at in the O2 Centre, and he was blistering. He made everybody else look like amateurs. Honestly, he came in playing the solo at a level that everybody else had reached at the end of their solo.
Yeah, he took over.
And then he took it up a notch. And then he went off, and I thought, whoa, that was amazing.
I've seen Eric play. He used to do this solo by himself, where we kind of walked off stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd be in his spotlight, so I didn't want to kind of walk off, you know. So I'd just sort of stay there.
Yeah.
And I was expecting him to burst into flames, you know. It was so hot, so amazing that if he'd burst into flames, it wouldn't have surprised me, you know.
The early 90s, I think when we were in South America with Eric, he was on fire. He was unbelievable.
Just a lucky story about also that my first time I met Eric was in Cava dei Tirreni with Pino Daniele. The gig they had in, I think, 5-6 years ago. Can't remember. Was fantastic. Pino and Eric together with Mel on the saxophone.
Yeah, nice.
That's nice memories.
He was great fun to be around, Eric.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful band.
Yeah.
One of you watched Jimi Hendrix live?
I did.
You?
I saw him in 1967, yeah.
Where?
At the Albert Hall.
Yeah. How was he?
I was amazed. I couldn't figure out what he was doing and where all that noise and sound was coming from, but it was an education for me. I was 14, and I've been a player since I was very, very young, but I couldn't figure out how he was doing what he was doing. It was a completely new thing. Revolutionary.
So you never see the record?
It's the first time we've seen the finished article, yeah.
Yeah, okay, open it. So Legacy for the first time opens the record. Legacy.
What's this?
It's a booklet.
It's a viz.
Yeah.
Oh, he's done a good job, that Massimo, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Very good.
Nice.
Superb.
It's good. It's good. Nice packaging, isn't it?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes in there. Almost.
Failed to start an autograph on the cover. It's the first time you see the record, the first copy, and of course. And you still have only this lyric video, right?
Yeah, we haven't done a proper video for the album yet, but
Yeah, but I like lyric video. I prefer.
Trevor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
This is the first time you see the record.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.